This video is for educational purposes only. The procedures shown may be dangerous. Viewer assumes all risk. Always follow manufacturer's repair and safety instructions.
Alright guys, here we go. SF-30 Suburban furnace. We're going to be replacing the blower motor. So we'll just remove the core here. There's one screw on the front you take out, and then this should be able to pull right out. You want to guide the wires back through. Those like to get caught and they chafe. Alright, so we're looking at the heat exchanger there. There's the front end. Alright, we're just going to clean it out, blow it out a little bit. It's super dirty. Alright guys, those tabs that you're seeing around there, different location, you'll see it when you remove the core there, but those tabs, basically you have to pull out the back side, and it's supposed to release that case, so you've got to release all those tabs around. So 7 tabs, you got to pop all those. Now they're most likely going to break, so this kit that we're using comes with a set of screws that you can screw in into existing holes. So get that kit. So we're also taking out these 2 screws, securing the motor, and sandwiching the motor inside of the casing. So we're going to get the bottom. We're going to get the top. Alright, here we go. So I usually apply these from the backside because it seems like it does less damage than the actual holes that it's meant to be put in. So, and like I said, these are most likely going to break. They're so fragile. If you do, it's okay. There's screws that come with this kit here. So if those pop and break, you have screws to put all around the housing so it'll stay together. These do break, so be gentle. Alright, first the wiring, we gotta get the wiring out of the way, so we're moving the igniter wire off the control board. We're pulling that back through the hole. Alright, next, sail switch wiring. So the wire from the back, and then also the jumper wire that goes over to that switch. And there's the blower motor power wire. So we're going to remove that off the control board as well. All right, that black wire down there on that ground bar there, that's your furnace motor ground. So you're going to pull that off. And be kind of careful about these around these cases. They can be kind of sharp in some points, so just be careful with your hands. Don't hit any metal edges. But pull that guy off there, and you're going to pull him back through. Kind of look at the orientation that it's routed into. You want to definitely pay attention to that because it's kind of a specific length. There's going to be a wire attached to the switch too, but we're going to leave that on. So we're going to pull that through. Sometimes the motor is kind of tough to get out. Just again, be gentle with the case. You'll eventually get it. Just keep pulling on it and gently, and it'll pop out. All right, so you can see it's keyed in there. The motors have those keys. It's also, there's like a couple all threads that are sticking down, and they're supposed to go inside that insert down there. So pay attention to the orientation of those studs in the case, and also the keys on the side. So just take a look at it so you can remember how it goes back in correctly. There we go. So we still got that wire attached, so we're gonna just kind of keep that aside there. So Allen keys on each of these squirrel cage fan blades. So loosen both those. Those should come off pretty easily. All right, here's the motor I'm using for this guy. So it's got the motor and the screws. So those are the screws that you're going to put around the case. Because all the tabs are most likely broken, or most of them are. All right, put them back on. They like to sit to the end of there's like basically where the flat part ends on the key on the motor shaft. It's going to slide all the way down. I usually find that works. If you do find that it hits the case after installing, you can move this fan blade down a little bit. When you install it, just push it around a little bit. Make sure it's not going to hit on anything on the shroud. There's also a little piece of plastic on the right hand side on the intake side that kind of sits inside the fan. So be gentle with that when pulling it out and putting it back in. It's on kind of the right hand side of the case. So we're going to be reinstalling this, getting that all thread down into that. So that's the piece of plastic, the little rivet thing. You got to move it past that fan, just like that. Get it in, and then push these two tabs into the casing, and the all thread down into its seat. And see, I'm just checking to make sure, just checking the clearance on both sides for the fan motor, or for the fan blades. Like I said, if they're off, you can adjust it down, loosen the screw, move the fan down. But we're good here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the case over. We're going to be moving the wires back through that round hole that we pulled them out of right there. All right, so some of these tabs they'll probably lock back in, so try to get as many as you can locked back in there. See, we're just trying to get that case snapped in. Just get it aligned. All right, reinstalling the screws, run the motor. So the one on the top, one on the bottom. And then we'll go around the case. So I'll show you where to put those. So I'm just giving you an image of the hole down there. There you go. I love ratcheting screwdrivers. They're great. Okay. So next thing we're going to do, the wire from the high limit, we're going to run up here, connect it back to the sail switch, and then we're also going to connect our jumper between the sail switch and the actual switch, and pull the igniter through. Pull it through that hole, and then kind of orient it so it's not going to fall into that fan intake, and run it to those little tabs. Those tabs are really important to keep it kind of in place, out of the way. All right, power wire over. So this is the new blower motor power. So we're going to be hooking that up. It's back on the board. And the ground, remember, it goes back through the hole. And then it likes to go through the left side of the gas valve, and then down underneath on the case. And you got to work it past the gas valve, but it should reach. It's very specific. I mean, you can't really, if you don't go through the hole, it won't make it to its terminal. You've got to be very specific about it. So then just pull it through somewhere in the gas valve. Just kind of push the wire down about. Now you got to order this specific part number in order to get the screws. So not all part numbers come with these screws. So get the kit, because these cases are very difficult to remove and often break. So these are the screws they provide. So we're just going around the case, putting them all in. All right, zip tying the wires. Keep the low voltage DC with the low voltage DC. I mean, just don't put it with the igniter wire. All right, that's it. Thanks for joining me. That's a way to test too. You can jump. You can jump these. Don't leave them jump though in the vehicle because it will continuously run. You also have to have power and ground hooked up. Sliding it back in its case. Actually, so this is a pretty important part too. The wires you're pushing through, make sure to pull the wires and they don't get stuck in between the case in the core, because those wires will chafe, and you definitely don't want to have a power wire with an exposed area on it. So guide it through. Don't let it tear. Be gentle. Sometimes you get caught on the edges of the openings. You'll see there's some kind of cutouts back there, and you've got to kind of move it past those sometimes. There we go. All right, again, thanks for joining me.